Move over IRS and make room for the EPA because my next guest is right. Workers at the Environmental Protection Agency are also treating conservative groups rather differently. Chris Horner says it happened to his group, the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Do explain, Christopher.
Okay, well, we've got an exact replica of what's going on at the IRS, which is selectively suppressing the ability of citizens who are supposed to be treated equally under the law to pursue their chosen endeavor. In this case, if you want to advocate for more EPA, you'll get your fees waived under the law if you ask for documents, which are public documents. They're not EPA's documents. They're all of our documents. And in our case, we FOIA'd more than anybody, that is, using the Freedom of Information Act. We had our request for fee waivers denied either outright or by being ignored 90% of the time. The Greens, left-wing groups, and so on were getting theirs approved on first pass 92% of the time. So
right?
It's an obvious disparity in their treatment.
Now, if that's the case, what would they cite you on, slow you on, reject you on? What would they use to say, all right, this is why we're going slow or we're rejecting you?
Well, delay can be denial. For example, not everybody will be able to pursue an appeal. If it's something important that's going to harm them, they figure, what the heck, we'll try, and it may just give us bias 60 days. But they'll generally say, you're not going to broadly disseminate the information to significantly inform the public. Now, there's no one who's more broadly disseminated the EPA documents significantly informing the public than us. For example, Richard Windsor, the false identity assumed by the administrator, I revealed thanks to FOIA and in my book, The Liberal War on Transparency, the private email accounts, the private servers they're having set up. All of these things have come from us, and yet we are being disproportionate. I mean, of anybody, we are the most obstructed of any group, and it's clearly because we are airing their dirty laundry by obtaining records that we own. Reagan said, I'm paying for this microphone. Well, we're paying for these records, for these computers, their chairs they're sitting in. We want them, but they want to subsidize people arguing for more EPA and throw themselves in fees, which, by the way, Neil, can run into 6 figures for a Freedom of Information Act request.
But how do you think these...
So it's just like denying tax status.
Understood. So the EPA transgressions, how do you think these ultimately will stack up against what we've heard elsewhere?
Well, so far, what I received last week, or just about 10 days ago, was a document production under yet another lawsuit I had to file because they're making us sue every time. So it isn't a report by us. It's a document production. Their own documents, their own numbers show that they're rejecting our requests 90% of the time and giving them to friends who they're colluding with to write rules
well, they say that's
and
not
sue and settle agreements and so on 92% of the time.
Okay, now we tried to get someone from the EPA to talk on the show with us. They did provide a statement, though, saying to this effect, the EPA makes Freedom of Information Act waiver determinations based on legal requirements that are consistently applied to all fee waiver requests, not on the identity of the reporter. The EPA has requested that the agency's independent inspector general review these criteria to ensure that EPA's FOIA request process remains fair and transparent. What say you?
Well, you look at the comps, like you would in real estate or a car. The comp groups who FOIA'd a lot, this activist group of federal employees or government employees, they bat 1,000, 17 out of 17. Yeah. We were denied 18 out of 20 times, and it goes on down the line. So the numbers don't lie, though statements by bureaucrats and political appointees might.
Okay. This is seriously FOIA'd up, you know. Yes, all right, Chris, thank you very much. Chris Horner.